Episode 143 of the Wilderness Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters. Support the show at patreon.com/the Wilderness Podcast. Our supporter of the week is Anthony Martinez. We're also brought to you by Audible. Get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Welcome to episode 143 of the Wilderness Podcast. I'm your host, Dills, and joined with me is Magpie.
Hey, what's going on?
I've been camping for a couple days, so I'm still getting I'm getting used to technology again.
Still exhausted?
Yeah, it's you don't get the best service out there, so the grinds have been minimal.
That is all good though. I'm glad you got a chance to recharge your batteries. Yeah, relax a bit.
Recharge, get back to get your EHP back on point. But wait, we've got some stuff to talk about, some exciting things, some things we teased about last episode. So we got a dev blog talking about kill-death ratios and web slashing and other fun stuff. And the Fremennik Exiles, something you had caught last week on a Twitter post, and now we got a dev blog talking about it. So yeah, more on that in a little bit. As far as community chatter goes, Runescape, or Oldschool Runescape specifically, gets submitted to AGDQ, or GDQ. Anyway, it stands for Awesome Games Done Quick. It's a speedrunning competition. Oldschool Runescape has been submitted, and the mods are backing it. And Mod West made a post on Twitter about that Acreuus spellbook design he did. I want to say a few months ago, but God, it's probably like a year ago. I don't remember. It's been a while. It's been over a year. Damn, time moves quickly. Did you see anything else? Did you catch anything going on in the community?
I saw Verf got his crossbow, and he got a second crossbow as well recently. So,
ooh, interesting.
Went 2 for 2 on those. Settled is still looking though. So the bounty is still up and going. One bill, I think it's up to like 1.01 or something.
Jeez, yeah, it's a hot item for the area restricted Ironmen.
Oh yeah.
So cool stuff. We'll touch more on that in a little bit, but I guess before we get into anything else, Magpie, how was your week? Did you do anything exciting? In
real life, I did quite a lot. I got myself a new gig, new job offer, and I also had to rush to find a new apartment, so it's been super hectic. I'm set to move out in 2 days' time, and wow. I have not packed at all. I am so behind.
Oh, man. I do the same thing every time I've had to move. I'll like pack up slowly, and it's always like a last-minute rush.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I'll just, like the moment we finish recording this, I'm going to go and pack up. My housemate came by last weekend with his family. They were super nice, and they basically like did a deep clean of everything. So bathroom, kitchen, everything's like been cleaned up. It looks brand new. Okay, so
you live with a roommate right now?
I lived with 2 roommates for the longest time, yeah. And but because like I graduated early, I graduated college early, so I had, while they were finishing up, I was just interning while they were finishing their programs in June, and then they both went off to their summer break, and I basically had the house to myself. And then I've been seeing them like off and on as they've come back to like move out and stuff. So I am the last bastion here. I basically turned it into a sick bachelor pad. I haven't really made the most of it now that I think about it, but
as long as it does the trick, I guess.
Yeah.
So they're moving in and you're about to move out. Is that the case?
Well, no, they've already moved their stuff out. So now it's just a matter of me.
Oh, everyone's moving out.
Oh, hell yeah. Our lease is ending. So I need to basically scramble to find a place. So I did that, got all that stuff done. It kind of works out.
So you have to move out in 2 days? Have you found a place?
I did. I secured the spot like 2 days ago. So it was super last minute. I basically needed a job offer to know that, like, to know where I needed to live, basically.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, I had to like rush to get an apartment. I really don't like leaving things to the last minute, so it's kind of been like a big source of stress. But now I've noticed myself like be way more chill, being able to relax. Like now I know it's in my hands. All I have to do is like pack everything up and go at my own pace.
Yeah, you just have to kind of do it.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, awesome.
In game, I wrapped up my top trials. I got all that stuff. I got rejected. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought I was going to say, what's the verdict? So you got approved, eh?
Yeah. I passed my trials.
Nice. Congrats.
With a couple of, thank you. Yeah, a couple of things to work on, like being concise and stuff. But it's been super fun. I actually did a couple learner raids earlier today. I did a bunch of learner chambers with the CC, though.
Oh,
that was always fun. We didn't get anything.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Other than that, I'm trying to think. I got a master clue for smithing. That always sucks. I just got it this morning. I've been like on a master clue grind. Dude, do you know how much, like on average, you need to spend to buy a hard clue from a magpie impling?
Nice. You can buy those, right?
Yeah. It costs, I think, like 13K or something for one of them.
Wikis or the Runelight is saying just under 16K.
Okay, yeah. So it costs, I think for 13, it costs around 200K. And it's a 1 in 50 drop. So I think it's around 800K per hard clue. But because you get like a lot of good stuff from the magpie impling, it costs way less in terms of like your actual profit. It cost me 8.5 mil to get my last hard clue.
Holy, 8.5 mil. That's including the profit you would have gotten from a magpie impling.
Yeah. It cost me 15 mil straight up because I had like a bunch in my bank and then I bought like another 180 or something. I was just like opening them nonstop. And like I had to like quadruple check my bank because I was like, maybe there's one more in my bank or something that I missed. And that's why I'm not getting any drops. But no, it actually took me like a solid 15 mil to buy my last hard clue. Because what I do is I get my elite clue scrolls from like bossing and stuff, and then I can't be bothered like doing anything else for the hard clues. So I just buy easy, mediums, hards, and then I stockpile them. Yeah, I've been on a master clue grind. So I got the smithing requirement now to smith a rune med helm.
Nice.
Which always sucks.
What level did you need for that?
Well, I'm going to need to boost from 83 to 88. The base level is 88. Okay. So what I was thinking is just go straight up to 86 so I can do all my diaries, because that's the only thing that's keeping me from like 3 or 4 diaries now.
Yeah, I'm on the smithing grind myself. I'm trying to go straight to 81, mainly because sometimes I don't know what I'm doing, so I just AFK it. Are you someone who will do it as efficient as possible, like blast furnace, or are you kind of
the last time I actually did smithing, like actively training it, was almost exactly a year ago.
Damn.
Because I needed Candor and Hards, I think, where you have to smith the Hostite Otto's Grotto or something.
Yeah.
So I got it to 70. And that took me like, I just knocked it out in one evening, like in Blast Furnace. And since then, I've just like done random things here and there. I've somehow gotten like 4 smithing levels since then. Normally, I do like to go as hard like as possible, balls to the wall, as they say. It seems like it's really expensive to start with, and that's the big things when people like start out. They're like, they look at smithing training or crafting training and they say, oh, like green dragonhide bodies, that's really expensive. And I get that a lot of the time it's like the upfront cost.
Yeah,
that's the issue, where it's like I can't do green dragonhide bodies because I know I'm only going to lose 1.5 mil. I don't mind losing 1.5 mil, but I have to spend 20 mil to actually buy everything first.
Yeah, that's
true. I don't have that. I think that's the big issue for a lot of people. But in the grand scheme of things, like whenever possible, you should really try to, in my opinion at least, like bite the bullet and take that cost. Because at the end of the day, what you're going to do is you're just going to delay getting the level, and it's just not going to be fun. And I don't like enjoy telling people how they should play the game or this is the most efficient way or whatever. But like, you're going to hate your life doing crafting regardless. You know, if you choose to make green d'hide bodies, or if you go and like smith ruby necklaces or something, it's not fun. So what's the point? Like, don't try to extend the task. Don't make it more tedious, in my opinion. That's why I personally would always like rush them. But then now it's just about like getting this level as fast as possible.
Yeah, it makes sense. Whereas like for me, with smithing, I'll put it to the side and like, okay, I'm gonna work on this passively while I'm like I got school coming up next week. So if I'm in class, I'll be smithing because I can still focus on class and stuff. Or if I'm doing homework, I'll be smithing on the side and then doing homework. So that's something I just do it passively because I'm not. I mean, it'd be nice to do in a big rush, but
yeah, I get you. And then lastly, on my Slayer grind, I got my first Hydra task in a good 6 months or so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I like took a big break from Hydras after I got the pet and stuff, sick. But I'm one like drop away from finishing the collection log. So I've just been spamming like Konar, and it took me like a good 30, 40 tasks maybe to actually get the Hydra task. But now I've been like killing it. I'm super rusty. I die like every single time now, but it is what it is. And I know you don't enjoy it, but I really, really like that fight.
You know, I don't. Maybe it's just because I come off the Calfight Queen. So I took your advice from last week where you said, you know what, when you feel yourself not enjoying the boss anymore, just move on from that task. Whereas I was like, no, I'll keep the task and I'll just do Calfight Queen whenever I'm itching for it. Which didn't happen too often. Anyways, I ended up getting the Hydra task, and I was doing it, and I was like, you know what? It's not too bad. Like, it's a good fight. It's just the problem is, I guess sometimes I guess really I'm trying to. It's like I selfishly want the GP per hour, but I also want to be able to AFK something on the side. Yeah. Like I want to be able to kind of AFK it enough that I can watch something. So but yeah, I have been enjoying Hydra, and yeah, the best thing with Hydra is like I remember like every time new podcast episodes would come out, like every week or whatever, like the Wilderness Podcast TM, but represent.
The best time to do Hydra, or the best way in my opinion, is to just like put on a podcast or two and just like chill out. Sometimes with friends on Discord, if you like are comfortable enough to the point where you can like keep track of the number of times you're getting hit with what.
That's the big one, is not getting distracted, because there's often I'll get distracted and be like, shit, was that number 2 or number 3? And then boom, you get hit with one big one, and then it all adds up, and next thing you know, you're having to end your trip 2 or 3 kills early.
The big thing that helps me, by the way, this is like, for some reason, this is blasphemy to almost everybody else who plays this game, but I personally play with ambient sound effects on. It is super helpful, especially in Hydra, because Hydra actually has different sound effects for each attack.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah, that's right.
So if you're like, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, when you like absorb information better through, like, you can be a kinesthetic learner, an oral learner, and stuff.
Auditory or something.
Yeah, an auditory. If you are like auditorily focused or whatever, where you can absorb information better, like through hearing, then it's better to like play with game sound. Some people like visual, where they prefer like being able to see the attacks or something when it comes to Hydra.
It helps though. I definitely agree with you.
Yeah, it's just the more cues you have, the easier it becomes. And then that way, like, even if you alt-tab or even if you AFK, like, you could still keep track of, okay, I've heard this sound effect twice, 3 times. Okay, now I should switch. Other than that, did a bunch of frayeds, dry.
Yeah.
Did a bunch of Taub runs. I just broke my dry streak of, like, 60-plus runs.
Damn.
With Justiciar Legards, yay! So I might as well have stayed dry at that point.
So that's one of the lesser drops, right?
Yeah, nobody wants to get a Justiciar piece. It's the hope that kills you.
It's a shame. It's a damn shame.
But it is what it is.
I guess so.
How about you? Any big things since you've or before you went on your camper trip, or since you've returned?
You know, I can't really remember. I went camping, which was nice just to get away and relax. And, you know, we went camping for 3 nights, like kind of 3 days. But a lot of it is just like, I think what I like about camping is that there's a whole lot of nothing that you really do. It's just kind of nice to like unwind. Because I was like thinking like I would be sitting at the campfire, just sitting there looking at it, or I'd like be reading a book I'm out here in like nature, quote unquote nature, because there's like 20 other campsites around you and they're blasting music. But I'm like reading a book and I'm like, for some reason, I won't do this at home. At home, I'll be sitting in front of, I'll be playing on my computer if I have time to just sit around. And it was kind of nice to come and take a step back and just like discharge from everything. But eventually you get like get the craving for some good old RuneScape. But I'm back now. School's picking up next week. It's going to be pretty busy. It's already starting to get pretty busy because I've been helping out at the school, and I got orientation I'm going to help out with, and trying to juggle everything at the same time. And it's like can get a little overwhelming, but we'll one thing at a time.
Nice, but you've been keeping busy, which is nice.
Yeah, I find I've been keeping pretty busy. I haven't done this, but I've been getting the itch. I'm sure you heard the news, but did you ever play dabble in World of Warcraft in the past?
No, but I know what you're going to talk about. Have you tried it?
No, it's Classic was released on the, 26th or the 27th? Yeah. And I when I first started playing was back in Burning Crusade, which was like, that was the first expansion. And I really got into it. I kind of took a step back away from RuneScape. And I keep getting that itch because I'll see a post about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, I had so much fun with that. And then I'm like, I don't have enough time, and it's not like, oh, well, I want to do all these things on RuneScape, so I can't play World of Warcraft. Because I could play WoW and then play RuneScape on the side, or even just take a break from RuneScape if I wanted to. But I'll get the itch to play it, but then I'll kind of like realistically think about it and be like, I don't think I'm going to be able to play that game like I used to. And then I was kind of comparing the two games, like, because they're both, it's weird because World of Warcraft, it's, I would say RuneScape is a way bigger grind in general if you're trying to go max versus like the best gear in World of Warcraft. Because then World of Warcraft, that's kind of what you're grinding for, is the best equipment.
Yeah.
So maxing seems like it would take you way longer. But I think the difference is that like with World of Warcraft, when you're seriously playing it, it's a much bigger commitment because it'd be like with Theater of Blood and Chambers of Xeric. Let's say they're a lot harder than they are, and you can only complete it once a week. So next thing you know, you and your friends are setting up like every Tuesday we're gonna raid and we're gonna do Theater of Blood, and it's gonna take us 4 hours. So that sort of thing can be fun, but it's a commitment, right?
Yeah, it's much bigger time sink and stuff. And yeah, you always hear about like people in super high ranking like PVM raid guilds in World of Warcraft, like just like flame everything that moves.
Yeah, there's you can just go on and you see people who snap because it like I remember raiding back in high school, and it was every Tuesday and every Friday. So you're in high school and now you've just dedicated yourself every Friday night. I'm going to be playing this video game. And you play it from 7 to like 11. So you lock yourself in for 4 hours, where it was an actual commitment. Because if you decided like, oh, you know what, I don't want to play this Friday because I want to go to a party, or I want to do something else that's not World of Warcraft, then suddenly like you'll just get booted off the raid team and they'll bring someone else on. So you feel pressured to show up.
Yeah, and you're like, what the hell, man? Yeah, it's a crazy commitment. Crazy grind, which I never really wanted to do too much. The thing that, like, I was discussing this with a buddy earlier as well. The thing that I never really enjoyed, and actually I played League of Legends for the first time ever, like a couple weeks ago as well. Ooh. With a couple buddies. And I don't think I'm like too big a fan of those games because I don't like the whole like spam your abilities. I don't know why. It's just like I don't like constantly like being reminded to smash keys on my keyboard and stuff, which I know if anybody there is like a competitive League of Legends player, you're going to tell me it's not really how it works. And I know it's not how it works. But again, if you can empathize with me, I have no idea what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So like I'm smashing keys on my keyboard, to be honest. But you actually reminded me though. Do you know the new Call of Duty coming out?
I don't.
It's actually a new Modern Warfare.
So the third Modern Warfare? No, wait. Third or four?
No, it's like not even Modern Warfare 4. They're just calling it Modern Warfare, and I think it's like a totally new thing. But the alpha is out, and I played it with a buddy of mine, and dude, oh my god, if it is gonna be as good, it's never as good. You know, Call of Duty always like hypes it up, and it's never as good as they promise to be. But if it is as good as the alpha seemed, then wow, I am totally buying that day one. I'm totally sticking that in. Modern Warfare 3, ironically enough, I know people love Modern Warfare 2, but I used to be really good at Modern Warfare 3. I think I had like the record at one point where I was growing up for like the most like nukes, Moabs in Modern Warfare 3.
Ooh,
so
okay.
I am so excited for that. And the alpha is free right now. It's like a 2v2 alpha, and then you can sign up for the beta if you pre-order, but I'm not going to do that. We'll have to see how it goes. But that would be super fun. Speaking of things like nostalgia trips and World of Warcraft and stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. I might check it out. Those games are nice because you come on and do a quick match, like 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes tops. And those can be a lot of fun.
And it's not like the newer Call of Duties. Like, that's what I don't like, is all this futuristic mobility, like cartoony kind of Fortnite builds where it's like, you move at the speed of flight and you could like shoot everything. But, like,
sure,
the guns feel so good in that game. In the alpha I played, like, wow. And it feels really slow paced and gritty, which is what I remember Modern Warfare to be. So I am so excited.
I haven't played a Call of Duty game since either Modern Warfare 2 or Black Ops 1. Whatever one came out last. But one thing that I always liked about it was the story. Like, the campaign I always thought was like pretty well done for something that half the players are never even going to play. I always thought it was pretty fun.
I think Black Ops has the most underrated like story mode in any game I've ever seen. Do you still remember it? Because I still like quote that all the time. Like, the numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
I vaguely remember it. Like, the thing is, at this point, I kind of jumble a bunch of the different campaigns. Like, I mix them all up. But Modern Warfare, so COD 4, like Modern Warfare, the first one, that one stands out a lot because it was the first one I played that I was like, oh shit. Like, when a nuke goes off and I think you're in the Middle East and you're in a helicopter, and that's that scene where your helicopter gets blown down and all of your troops' helicopters get blown down from your, I think it's from your own nuke, and you crawl back to your helicopter. It's the first one where you're like having to do like that stealth mission where all those tanks are driving past you and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, I felt really immersive, and I really got into that. Black Ops.
Thing.
Sorry, go. No, I was gonna say, I'm trying to think. Black Ops. That's is that the one we get put into like a Russian labor camp or something?
Yeah. So the Black Ops campaign, is it even worth saying spoilers when it's like 9-10 years
and
past? But
no one's waiting to play the storyline or the campaign.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're still dying to play Black Ops 1 on the PS3, then cover your ears. But basically, it's like, you start and you're in the Vietnam War, but then almost immediately get captured and put into a Russian labor camp, and then you get freed. Like, you help this Russian dude like do a prison uprising basically in the camp.
Yeah.
And you free yourself and you like escape back to the US, but then you keep running into the Russian guy on your missions, and you keep like bringing him along to your missions. And then it turns out that you're being interrogated, and like the whole story is taking place like as you relive those memories, and they keep asking you stuff like, what do the numbers mean? And you have no idea what they're talking about. And then it turns out that the Russian dude was actually dead the whole time, and you've been imagining him, and you're actually a sleeper agent for like in the Cold War. And you've basically been programmed with knowing the numbers for like this nuke or something. And it turns out the people that you thought were like helping you are the people interrogating you, trying to help like free the US or something, or save the world, because you're the one who actually is the sleeper agent who has the code.
Yeah. Okay. Is that the one where it's like one of the last levels, and you have to shoot this dude or something, like you execute him, and then you play the next level and you're playing as someone else. and then you're running, and then you see the scene that you previously executed the guy, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's different. People are getting you're executing someone completely different than what
holy shit. That's exactly what it was. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, and you think you're actually helping by like killing some dude, but it turns out like you see it from the other dude's perspective, and the character that you've been playing the whole time is actually killing one of the good guys or something.
Yeah, you do. It's like you see and you're like, what? Fuck, that's, now I kind of want to go back and play those games.
I'm just going to go on YouTube and see if I can get a collection of the cutscenes and stuff. That's what I like doing. Instead of like replaying all the shitty, like, because you like nostalgia like clouds your memory. And it makes you remember like the good parts, like the crazy story and stuff. But then you go back and play and you're like, what are these shit controls?
Yeah.
This gameplay sucks. Oh my God. When is the next scene? I remember this part. This was annoying. But like, if you just go on YouTube and you like search like Black Ops 1, all cutscenes or something, you can hopefully get like a good recap.
Yeah. It's fucking sick. Well, nostalgia's kicking in. But to wrap this back to the World of Warcraft Classic release, that's what I'm getting, the nostalgic feeling. I want to go back and play it. I have all these memories of it. I'm like, I'm getting this itch, seeing all these pictures of people playing it. I'm like, shit, that'd be really fun to play. I really do miss raiding, but I know I don't have that time to commit to it. And which had me thinking of RuneScape, which is like, it's weird for me to say I don't have time to play World of Warcraft, but I have time to play RuneScape. But it made me kind of analyze the two games, which is where what's great about RuneScape is like there's a huge grind, but there's not much of a commitment. You kind of play at your own pace. You get to wherever you get, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Whereas, World of Warcraft, it's not like that.
I guess as you go up the higher tier PVM clans in RuneScape, you start to get to a little bit of that like commitment.
Yeah.
In terms of like the expectation that you have to keep doing stuff. But for the most part, I think Oldschool is a generally more accepting place for like going at your own speed and not rushing through things.
Yeah, that's right. Whereas like the average player in World of Warcraft, you'll have to commit to some sort of raid night, some sort of schedule if you want to make any progress.
Yeah.
Which is, it's different, but yeah, I don't know. If you're getting into the World of Warcraft game, let me know. Tell me how it's going. Yeah, there's a few times I just wanted to boot it up, and I'm like, I know I'm going to play it tonight, and then I just sunk $15 of subscription money in, or however much it is. But yeah, on to RuneScape. What have I done for RuneScape? Not a whole lot. I got the alchemical hydra tasks that I mentioned before. I've been doing smithing. The birdhouse runs I've been incorporating into my day now. I try to hop on every now and then to do that. Because I want to get my hunter up, because right now it's my lowest skill at level 76, which means my Tears of Gothic experience goes into that, when I'd rather go into agility.
Yeah.
So I got to get my agility is 81, so I have to get 82 hunter. That's about it. I don't think I've done much else. And then, as I've mentioned, probably the past 2 episodes, I've been streaming a hardcore Iron Man on PvP Worlds. And the only reason I bring that up, not just to make people aware of it, but I've encountered a bunch of weird things when I play on it. Since it's a free-to-play PvP world, you'll see a lot of interesting things. Like, you see a lot of
characters.
What's that?
You see a lot of kooky characters.
Sort of. And a lot of uncanny things. Like, I'll go into Falador, and you'll have like a clan war going off in the middle of Falador Square, like a bunch of people fighting each other. Other times I go there and it's completely empty. One time I went there and everyone was like, they all had similar names. It'd be like, Magpie, but it'd be like Blue Magpie, Robin Magpie, Crystal Magpie, and they were all just like they're all like level 30s, and they were all training on the guards there. So I was like, oh, they must be. I figured they were bots.
Yeah.
But the weirdest
enough, Blue Magpie is the name I had to take on League of Legends.
Oh, really?
That was the only one available. Yeah.
Sick. Popular name, apparently.
That's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, you see a lot of odd things, but the weirdest thing happened last week when I was playing. And I was in the wilderness because I've been needing to get runes somehow so I can cast spells, obviously, but to train my magic. And I was rune crafting at first, but it's so slow on free to play, especially as an Iron Man, because you have to mine it yourself.
Yeah.
So I decided to go into the wilderness, and you can do these like little laps. So I collect, you collect a bunch of things like a steel plate body, steel plate legs, earth staff. You know, you get a fair chunk of change that you can buy runes with. And when I was out there, I decided to go exploring to see if there's anything else that I must have missed. So I went to the, the spot you go to do, where you would get your eternal glory, the Fountain of Rune, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
So I went over there to go see what was going on. And then suddenly somebody logged in. Looked like a PKer. So I panicked and decided to just haul ass out of there. So one of the rules I gave myself on that account was I can only ever log out in a bank or another safe zone. This way I can't just log out if I see someone pop in.
Okay.
So I ran south, and then as I was running, there was like 5 or 6 people all running north to the Fountain of Rune. They had no clothes on, like they had no armor or anything on. They were all skulled, and they were all running. And I was like, oh shit, I'm dead, because they can all hit me, and I'm a low level. I have like 30 HP. Like they're gonna kill me. But they all ran past me, all 5 of them. And I was like, okay, that was weird. So I kept running south, and then like another 8 of them were running north. And one of them casted an entangle on another one, but then it failed and they all just continued running. And they were all skulled with no armor.
What?
It was really weird.
Like
So then someone in the stream was like, I'm going to go check it out on my main to see what the hell happened. Because maybe there were bots. I thought maybe it was like some sort of clan war was going on. And then I thought, or maybe there were bots. Maybe they're running to the Fountain of Rune, world hopping to members' world, turning their glories into the charged glories. So you get like an extra charge on there if you use it, the Fountain of Rune, and the chance of getting the eternal glory, which is worth like, I don't know, 20 mil, is it?
Yeah. Last time I checked, it was like
26 mil.
22.
Damn.
Okay, it's gone up.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways.
I was going to say, maybe they're all like bot farm or gold farmers, like trying to recharge, but that's not even free to play.
Yeah, so that's what I thought. Like maybe they ran through free to play because it's safe. And then world hop, but why would they do it in a PvP world? Why were they all skulled? And then one of them casted entangle on one of the other ones running, but then just kept running. It was weird, and so someone went to go check it out, and apparently nobody was there. Like it was completely empty, and he stayed there for like half an hour and saw nothing, like no other accounts running there. It was very weird, and not too sure.
It's like, do you know the subreddit A Normal Day in Russia? Where it's like,
I could guess what it's about.
The dumbest stuff. Yeah. A little racist towards Russians, I think, but it's just like, it's given the source of like one of my funniest ever like videos. I'll send it to you if anyone knows. Like, there's a video of like some dudes driving in a car and they see a van in front of them, and they see like them pull up ahead of another, like you see another car pull up to the van, and like the dude starts banging on the van or trying to get in from the front door, but then from the back door of the van, like a bunch of Disney characters, guys in like Disney character suits come out and they start beating up the dude on the street. Have you ever seen this?
I don't think so. That's weird.
Do you want me to send you the link? Because it is like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds bizarre. They're very similar, the two events. All right. But yeah, you know, that weird event happened. Not too sure. I'll have to pass along to Sir Pugger, who's been doing a bunch of his bot investigation videos, and they're pretty good. Definitely recommend checking those out, because you see some weird shit when it comes to bot farms. I guess we should hop in the news, shouldn't we?
Let's do it.
All right. So first is kill death ratios and web slashing. That sounds exciting, doesn't it?
Yay.
Yeah. So PvP worlds and bounty hunter worlds now have their own kill-death ratio distinct from the wilderness kills. The notice board on the north side of Edgeville Bank will show your kill-death ratio and those of nearby players. So that's interesting. Cool. Web slashing. Any weapon with a slash bonus now has a chance to slash through a web. Previously, only knives and certain types of swords could cut through webs, usually giving a 50% chance, or a 100% chance for the wilderness swords, which you get from the diary. Now, any weapon with a slash bonus can do it, with success rate depending on the weapon's slash bonus. No weapon's chance to slash through webs has been decreased by this change. Oh, so they've only been increased. That's you have any strong feelings about that?
Not really. I mean, it's such a small change. Like, I guess it devalues the wilderness diaries, but who really cares? Like, there are good reasons to do the wilderness diaries anyway. But
yeah, it's it depends on like how much the bonus is. Like, if the whip can now give you like 95% chance of going through, then maybe tune that one down a bit, because it's kind of nice to, hey, I'm not doing any PVM or PvP stuff in the wilderness. I'll bust out the wilderness sword. But if the whip is just as good, you're probably gonna use that instead.
Yeah, exactly. It's whatever. Like, you're just gonna find people. It just seems really dumb to me that you can have like a whip slash through webs, in my opinion, because I thought the idea was like they're giant spider webs made by giant spiders, so they're stronger than normal. So you need like a knife to cut through them, but like if you got like a noodly boy hitting them, like doesn't really warrant cutting through a web, don't you think?
Yeah, I do, but at the same time, maybe the idea is you can just crack that whip hard enough that it'll fuck up the web. Yeah.
Why don't you let us, like, how in Skyrim you can burn through the web? Why don't you let us, like...
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That could be a money thing. Let's burn through the web. Use your fire making. Maybe fire making finally has a use.
Yeah. Yeah, true. That's kind of an interesting idea. Like, we have webs. I'm surprised we don't have any areas where it's like, branches you have to burn. Like, we have the branches in the Brimhaven dungeon you have to cut with an axe. I'm surprised they never used other obstacles.
Definitely true.
Next we have is Song of the Elves tweaks. So the Ioworth dungeon creatures in the Ioworth dungeon, Bloodvelds and Necrials within the dungeon have been replaced by the mutated and greater versions. So that basically means you'll get more Slayer experience. Maybe not per hour, but per task.
I think this means the Necrial drop tables change as well to match the ones in the Koran catacombs. So
yeah, that's right. Okay. Then crystal item changes. All crystal items, that's the tools, armors, and weapons, have had their maximum number of charges increased to 20,000. The Blade of Saeldor has also had the number of charges it receives per crystal shard increased to 100 when it used to be 25.
Thank God for this change. This like, I have a personal interest in this change.
Yeah.
Because one of my closest buddies has been merching the Blades of Saeldor ever since like this was first proposed. And it's been so annoying watching him sell. He's like obsessed now. He's like sold his entire bank and has nothing but like 100 blades or some ridiculous number. And then I'm just glad that like this is finally over. The saga that I've been like putting up with is done.
Did he make a lot of money?
I think he made a fair bit, yeah.
God damn.
Not enough to like recoup the amount of stress I got from it.
Fair enough. The years lost off his life.
Exactly.
It's not worth it. Now we have the line of sight changes, a quite controversial issue, but they say here, with the release of last week's line of sight beta, players got the chance to try out the game with a mirrored line of sight between 2 points. This came with some positive improvements, most notably to PvP. However, some concerns were raised about things working differently in PvM situations. This week, the beta continues, but with a new version of the algorithm. Now when a player is not interacting with another player, the existing live algorithm is used, meaning the behavior in PvM situations will not change. When interacting with other players, the new algorithm will be used. This prevents one-way safe spawning in PvP. Basically, we have yet another mechanic that works one way in PvP and one way in PvM.
Yeah.
What do you think of that?
You hate to see it, but at the end of the day, like, this sort of changed so much for PVM that I guess they felt it wasn't really like, able to be ported effectively without causing too many issues. So I think this is only for the beta worlds so far.
Yeah, they're still testing it. It's not set in stone right now, but yeah, I guess they're seeing if that's how they're going to move forward, because it does seem like it's the best and quite possibly the only way of doing it. But the only issue is that we have a long list of how things work in PVM versus PvP.
Yeah.
And
items, mechanics, even game interfaces.
Yeah, that's right. So it's a bunch of different things, like the dropping mechanics or the way when you kill. Yeah, everything's a bit off. But I had seen in a Q&A that somebody asked, to me, this doesn't make sense. So somebody asked, can we get like a board near the wilderness that would state like, here's what things work differently in the wilderness versus non-wilderness.
Yeah,
like a giant list of
there's no way. Yeah.
And then the JMods said their answer was they have no, like, there's so many different things that it would be too much to put it on a board.
Exactly. There's no way they can do that.
And which is like, that answer almost backs up why we need the board, because there's so many.
Well, my question is, like, why do they not, instead of like, okay, Last Man Standing rework, Bounty Hunter rework, two very decent things.
Yeah.
Once we get closer to RuneFest, I guess we can solidify our predictions. My honest opinion is this RuneFest is going to have a big PvP section, and I hope to God that, like, they talk about a complete overhaul of the way PvP works, the way, like, basic mechanics work, because right now it's like they're building a house of sticks like a toddler, but they're using glue. And every time, like, they keep building on top of this jumbled up pile of sticks, and the thing is getting wobblier and wobblier, and they keep gluing and patching things on top of it, and they're just, like, using more glue instead of fixing the base to fix the issue. They're just squirting a lot more glue on the top and hoping that fixes things.
Yeah, and then eventually when they go back to fix it, it's going to be such a monstrous task that they're going to be like, ugh, let's just leave it.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I have a feeling that's the issue. I have a feeling nobody at Jagex is like, not that they can't be bothered, but nobody's passionate enough about PvP and, like, in the right developmental circles, I guess, to work on it. Because, like, Mod Ash, when we had one update where he, like, had to rewrite an entire 2% of the game's code to do something, like to change an interface or something.
So that's the thing. Yeah, it's like it slowly gets done through that way, but it's not the most efficient. Like, it'd be great to hire a couple people and be like, that, just go clean the code up. The problem is, like, they're looking so much forward that they're like, you know what, let's just new content will bring in new players. Going back and fixing the way we wrote old content, that's not going to do anything to bring in new players.
Yeah. When really the thing is, like, if you overhaul PvP, and when I say overhaul, I don't mean we're going to remove the wilderness and we're going to add Bounty Hunter, but I mean, like, an actual, like, we need to address the glaring issues in PvP, how risking works, how clan men mode is a thing, which they've already been doing with dead man mode. So maybe it's like they're doing this behind the scenes. The issue there is, like, maybe they're not being transparent with us. And that's an issue in itself, because now we're sitting here talking about why don't they do this, this, and this, when maybe they have been. We don't know, and that's why we're making these suggestions. But, like, they should just go back and address those issues, because PvP has been consistently, like, a big eyeball grabber on things like Twitch with Deadman mode and stuff. So clearly, if it works right, it's like another potential way to get players interested in the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. And you don't want somebody to come into the game and be like, damn, this game feels so clunky, which is kind of, it's one of the downfalls of old school RuneScape.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. And RuneFest should be interesting because RuneFest is nice because it shows you what direction they're thinking with the game and going forward.
Backwards, according to half the community.
Yeah, I think that's almost always the case, isn't it? All right, moving on though. The summer sweepstakes winners. So congratulations to Jordang90 and Errand Barrow. They are the two winners for the competition, and they both won a Chill Blast PC and one GT Omega racing chair and in 1 month of membership.
Nice.
Yay. Like 1 month. That's almost...
But I mean, they're getting a PC. So.
Yeah, no, that's cool. It's funny to get these two big rewards and they're like in 1 month of membership on top. But anyways, that's awesome. Both of you have been contacted, so check your emails if you haven't done it already. Something we can make a note of and check back in a year from now to see if they actually received it.
If this is their in-game names, what we can do is we can actually like reach out to them, see if their private is open, and ask them like, yo, have you actually gotten this stuff yet?
Good call.
Maybe we should do that like in a week's time.
Making a note right now, actually. That's a good idea.
Okay, Google, set a reminder for 1 week. I don't know, like Alexa.
You know what? I'm trying to add these people. Unknown player.
What? Is this a conspiracy? Are these like shill accounts?
They don't exist. Let me check the high scores. I don't know why I did that. There's no reason to. They're not there. You know what? Maybe we have to do is
play the X-Files theme song. Play the conspiracy music.
Get the conspiracy music going. Let me just go back to see.
Dum dum.
Nothing. Very bizarre. We'll have to see what is going on. We have to see if we can track these guys down.
Is this maybe their Twitter?
I don't know. Let's see. All right, check this guy's Twitter. Joined June 2013, the same year Oldschool Runescape came out. But his account is private. And now I'm going to check Errand Barrow. I don't think they exist. Errand Barrow. His last message was April 9th, 2013, the same year Oldschool Runescape came out. This is going to bed. Got school tomorrow. Good night, everyone.
SMH my head.
Yeah. Weird. We'll do some digging. We'll see what's going on there.
Here's my theory.
Yes.
Jagex realizes that they can never ever send this stuff out in an efficient or timely manner. So they're just going to make these show accounts and say that these guys are the winners and never have to ship anything again.
Ooh, see, that could be it.
Boom.
Huh. All right, well, hopefully we can figure out some more information. But yeah, that was it for that one there. Next, we're going to move on to the Fremennik Exiles, the quest that you had figured out. Not figured out, but you saw the tweet. You broke the news. From Exile, you must leave. So it starts off with saying, a quote from Brunt the Chieftain. Exile, you must leave our province. Our people will no longer see you as their brother. It's pretty eerie. The lore starts off, the Fremennik bards often sing tales of the past, of great battles, deadly foes, and heroes long gone. However, in recent years, things have been much quieter in the Fremennik province, with the bards having few things to sing about. All that is about to change, though, as what starts off as a simple investigation soon leads to one of the greatest threats to the Fremenniks have ever seen. Interesting. So you're big into the lore. What would your guess be the biggest threat to the Fremenniks?
Oh, I think once you read down, I think it's pretty clear it's going to be like the basilisks or something.
All right, the new basilisks. All right, so let's see. So here's some behind the scenes. The Fremenniks have been a beloved group of people within the Oldschool universe since their original release in November 2nd, 2004. Many of the Fremennik quests have brought iconic Oldschool elements to the game, such as the Fremennik helmets, godbooks, kingdom management, lunar spells, and the Helm of Natisnot. The Fremennik lore weaves parts of Nordic mythology and our own old school lore into what I personally found to be my favorite quest series, which led to naming my own tube account after one of the 272 randomly assigned names given upon completion of the Fremennik trials. Most recently, your adventurer has stopped the bickering rivalry between the islands of Natisnot and Yatso, and most importantly, began the diplomatic negotiations of the tense feud between the Moon Clan and Relica. These diplomatic relations will assist in Fremennik Exiles, where you'll be discovering more interlinking history between the clans before the split in the Second Age and learning of the prophesized future to come. That's from Mod Wolf. And Mod Ed says, the Fremennik Isles quest is an unusual project. Mod Wolf first pitched the idea to me back in early 2017, before I had moved into content development. A few months later, I began working on it in my own personal project time, and a large chunk was completed before personal projects were unfortunately canceled in mid-2018. Since then, the quest has sat on the back burner, waiting for a suitable gap in our schedule. With work on the Song of the Elves now complete, we finally have the time available to finish off the Fremennik Exiles for a release later this year. Going back to the Fremennik Exiles is an interesting experience for me, as while it will be the 10th quest I've released, assuming it passes the poll, of course, it was actually one of the first ones I worked on, containing my first ever cutscene in my first proper interface. To look back at where it all started has been very enjoyable, though I have made a few tweaks to my earlier work, as unsurprisingly, my skills back then were a little rougher. Having worked on this project on and off for so long, it's great to finally be able to share a bit more about it. And I hope everyone's enjoyed what we've cooked up with this one. So that's Mod Ed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? I've started getting super excited when I see Mod Ed attached to a quest, because everything he seems to have worked on have been like really good.
Yeah, Mod Ed is nice, and I like Mod Wolf being a part of the... When people think of Mod Wolf's contributions, they always think of his access to the community and him being a face of like the Q&A and stuff, but...
Yeah, that's right.
He's actually really overlooked in terms of like some of the things he adds, and it's always nice because you know he's going to add a little touch of depth. Him and Mod West especially, where like Mod Wolf had his whole Easter egg with Zaya coming out, with the wolf's bones and stuff.
Oh, what was that?
You know when you have like a little mini Easter egg with Veos, the guy who takes you to Zaya, where he gives you, like, you find his pet wolf's bones or something. You have to, or you find a collar or something if you give him wolf bones.
Okay.
And it's a reference to Mod Wolf, I think.
I vaguely remember that Easter egg. I read about it on the subreddit when it got discovered, but I don't think I've actually encountered it myself.
I like those because they added depth to the world that, like, otherwise it feels too shallow. Even if only 1% of the player base actually accesses that kind of stuff.
You feel rewarded for almost like exploring.
Exactly.
Which is nice. It's the same with like the Wintertodt. They have the is it the cat that asks for a toad or a tuna or something like that? You can unlock more dialogue. Yeah. And then it doesn't look like it goes anywhere, but makes you wonder how many little things are lying around.
Either way, you want to hop back into this news blog?
Yeah. So the Fremennik Exiles is going to be, the Fremennik Exiles is going to be a master level quest, and continuing the quest line of the Fremenniks. You'll be taking on new challenges, making difficult decisions, and ultimately proving your worth that you are the only chance at saving Relica from the threat of the basilisks. So the requirements for this quest are you have to complete Fremennik Isles, Luna Diplomacy, Mountain Daughter, and Hero's Quest. And the stats you'll need is 65 crafting, 60 Slayer, 60 smithing, 60 fishing, and 55 rune crafting. And it comes with a poll question. Would you like the Fremennik Exiles, a master level quest, to be added to the game? What do you think of the stat requirements and it being a master level quest?
Hell yeah, I'm super down for that poll question. We need a new Fremennik quest. It seems really good to have it, and I like how it rhymes with Trials and Isles, so yeah. I'm down for that. The stats themselves, they look pretty good. Nothing too high. It's funny how they always make rune crafting the lowest one because they know people hate training that one.
Yeah.
But it looks good. And if you look at like the average player from all the data streams, you know that rune crafting is lower on average, and things like AFK Bibles like crafting are higher, which makes sense. So generally an account with around base 60s will be able to do this quest. And as a master, that's kind of like where you should be aiming, I think.
Yeah, that seems pretty fair, especially when this quest line it's pretty long.
Yeah.
So the rewards, upon completing the Fremennik Exiles, you'll be rewarded with 2 quest points, access to the Island of Stone, 15k Slayer experience, 15k crafting experience, and 5k rune crafting experience. Oh boy. Any thoughts on
another 5k rune crafting experience? That's all I care about.
Yeah, fair enough. That's what? That's like 30 minutes of rune crafting.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah, but the rewards seem pretty tame. Nice chunk of experience, though. And then the Island of Stone, what is that? So it is a new dungeon available after the completion of the quest. It contains Dagonoths, Basilisks, and the Basilisk Knights. Dagonoths are split across 3 rooms, which are multi-combat with cannons allowed. The Basilisk are split across 2 rooms, which are single-way combat, no cannons allowed. And the Knights are split across 2 rooms, which are single-way combat, and also no cannons allowed. It's the same as the Basilisks. I totally see what you're saying when you said last week they kind of they don't need to type as much. Whatever.
Yeah. Just say the dungeon has 3 sets of monsters: Dagonoths, Basilisks, and Basilisk Knights. The Dagonoths are multi-combat and cannons, and the other 2 are single way with no cannons. Boom. There's like 12 lines removed.
Yeah, you've done it. This is probably why the code's so messy.
Yeah, probably.
So the Basilisk Knights featured in the quest can be fought after the quest as part of a Basilisk Slayer task. They'll have better drop tables as the normal ones, including a new unique item, the Basilisk Jaw. This can be used to make a Nata's Knot face guard. If you kill it off task, the drop rate of the jaw will be lowered. So poll question 2, should the completion of the quest unlock access to this new dungeon on the Island of Stone? The dungeon will contain the monsters listed: Dagonoths, Basilisks, Basilisk Knights. To me, that seems kind of, it's whatever.
Can I say something?
Yes.
If we're going on this poll question?
Hell yeah.
How far back do we have to go to find an update that didn't release an extra Slayer dungeon?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, I looked at this and I was like, I'm not very excited for a new one.
Another Slayer dungeon with this update.
Yeah, maybe that's why I felt not too thrilled about a new dungeon, because I'm like, all right, yeah, we get one every time. Cool. It's another place to kill more monsters. I don't know.
Here's what I think. I think this is like to try and add new value to Konar, because they realized maybe while they were making Konar that they were like, shit, there are only like 4 places to kill these guys. Like Dagonoth's Lighthouse and Waterbirth Island.
Yeah.
So I think this adds value to Konar by just like letting you experience more of the land, which is kind of the opposite of what Konar was supposed to do. The idea behind Konar was that you get to experience places that you normally wouldn't go to, because she's going to assign you tasks that are specific to those areas. But if you keep coming out with new areas, you're not going to experience those old areas in like either way.
Yeah, that's right. And the Dagonoth specifically, I don't. It's easy to. Yeah, I don't know. Why do we need another cannibal area for them when you have the lighthouse? Sure, it's packed, but we have so many worlds. Like, you might be able to find one. You have a good chance of it, at least.
Why don't we, exactly. Why don't we, like, with these dungeons, instead of making it the same stuff, like the new dungeon that came out with Song of the Elves, the new dungeon that came out with, like, the Karulm Slayer dungeon, why don't we change the meta a little bit? Like, why don't we make it so that instead of it being multi-way cannibal Dagonoths, make it so that it's, like, a new type of Dagonoth, or make it so that it's, like, range only or something, to just give it some variety. Yeah,
like I was thinking about this when we talked about it last week, just probably camping, just sitting there looking at the fire thinking, being like RuneScape, thinking about RuneScape. And I was like, what would be cool? Bring out like 3 Dagannoth bosses and call them like the Dagannoth queens. So you got the kings and the queens now. And I know it's tough bringing out a new boss because people expect all these like new uniques, but that's what I was thinking. Like it'd be cool and it'd be awesome to bring out a new high level boss that is you can do as a group. It's not instanced.
Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking. The Dagannoth queens, but
we can even have like demi-boss Dagannoths that are like stronger than the current Dagannoths. You know what I mean? Like just do something. Make like Dagannoth knights that are stronger instead of basilisk knights.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too true, right? And
then you have like different tiers. Maybe like so what you're saying is like imagine you have Dagannoths and just like with the cow fights, but taken to another level where now it's like you see with cow fights, you have so many different ones to kill that they appeal to all levels. But the problem is because they're so ancient and when they came out, there's not really that much of a difference between like the workers, the soldiers, the guardians, and then you have the Calphite Queen, which is just a boss. But like, let's say with this update, they brought out a new type of Dagannoth demi-boss. Maybe let's say they add the Dagannoth Queens at some point. So now you have the ones in the lighthouse you can for Slayer experience. You have the Dagannoth demi-boss, which maybe they're the ones that drop this Net is Not Unique that we're going to go through in a second. And they have like, they're like demonic gorillas where it's not like a boss task, but they have special mechanics that you have to focus on.
Yeah.
And then one step above that is the DKs, which are like a low level, like mid-game boss where it's like you kill them as one of your entry points to PVM. And then you have the Dagannoth Queens, or I know like Dagannoth Queens, people are going to go down like King Black Dragon, Queen Black Dragon, all that stuff from RS3 or the like Calphite King. But you know, if you just have like another tier of Dagannoths where that's like end game bossing, where you can only kill them on task, but you can't solo them.
Yeah.
And the idea is now like you save, you get a Dagannoth task and you tell your clan like, oh guys, I got a Dagannoth task. Stop, like when you get a Dagannoth task, stop what you're doing, and then I'm going to save this and wait for you guys to get one, and then we're going to go kill this together.
That's a sick idea. Because what you might happen is you might have like an area where people queue up looking for other people who have the task.
Exactly.
And then boom, you're making friends and getting scammed from them, but still. Or like you maybe you have to party up similar to like we see with Theater of Blood and stuff. Like they're trying to be more experimental with this party system. Try out this new way of doing it where you party up, go into it, and then like I don't know, maybe you both get a drop or I don't know, something like that. But I think the reason I don't care about this new dungeon is because it's just, as you mentioned, it's just another place to kill these monsters. There's 3 rooms for each monster. Cool. It's not different. Unlike the what's it called? That dungeon they brought out in Zaya, the Hasidius house that with Sarachnis.
Oh, the Forthos dungeon.
Yeah, Forthos dungeon. That one was a little bit. It was a dungeon, but it was a little bit different in the sense there was more exploring. This what we're talking about now sounds like a
It's just a Slayer dungeon.
Yeah, it's like a Neve's cave, but small. The old school Neve's cave.
I guarantee they're going to have a direct teleport to it as well. That's the thing that sucks as well.
Oh, yeah, you beat this quest and boom, you use the, Like, if they had... I like your idea of killing the Basilisk, or the Dagannoth Knights. Like, it'd be kind of cool you kill the Dagannoth Knights. Maybe they drop, like, some sort of key, and that opens up to the next room where you fight, like, Dagannoth... I don't know, Dagannoth... What's above Knights but under Queens?
Paladins.
The Dagannoth Paladins. You fight those, and then it's like one step high, and then you get a key from that, and now you can kill the Dagannoth Queen. And maybe there's just one of them, and then it's like, wow, 3 kings and 1 queen because the queen's so much stronger. Boom. Now you're like female empowerment Dagannoth on top
Crusaders.
Of that, too. Yeah, see, there you go.
That drops a key, and then you get the Dagannoth Mod Ash.
Uh-oh. Good luck.
Yeah, just to be clear, like we talking about Dagannoth Knights, there are no Dagannoth Knights. They're Basilisk Knights. Yeah. They're 2 different things. We're saying, what if...
I like the Dagannoth because they feel more iconic to the Fremenniks. I'm pretty sure in the lore, the Fremenniks are battling against the Dagannoths at points.
Yeah, in my opinion, like Fremenniks have two main beasts. Like the two main things they're fighting, the Dagonoths and the trolls.
Yeah. And that's in the lore too, because the Dagonoth kings, the reason they have the Fremennik rings, the seers, archers, warriors, and berserkers, is because they killed the Fremenniks. They've like ate them, I guess. And you get the Fremennik shield and the Fremennik helmet and the Fremennik sword as a drop from the Dagonoth kings. Anyways, it seems they damn it, Mod Ed, where were you with you're supposed to be good with the lore here, man. The Basilisk Knights, I don't whatever. So yeah, what's your thought? Is that, I guess, what would you vote for? Not to sway other people's opinions, but I'd like to hear how you would go with the Island of Stone. Because sometimes something like this, I want to vote no, just so they go, for them to go back to the drawing board and come up with something a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say, like, I don't normally say vote yes or vote no. I will personally probably be voting no. I'll vote yes to the quest, of course. I'll vote no to question 2. Probably just because for that reason. Mm-hmm. Like, it's lazy content. It does nothing. Just get that weak shit out of here. Like,
yeah.
It's better to have no change than a forced, like, just bloated content.
Yeah, that's right. So I totally agree with you there. The third poll question. Should you have the option to pay 80 Slayer points to unlock basilisks as a new task from Konar, Duradel, and Neve/Steve?
Again, the idea, I guess, is for the Basilisk Knights.
Yeah, but basilisks already exist in the game. Let me check here.
Yeah, they do, but they're such low-level monsters that they're not assigned by those 3.
Yeah, that seems weird.
The idea is once these knights come out, people will want to do them on Slayer tasks, but it's not really worth going to, like, Mazshna or Shelder or whoever to get a task for them.
Again, that seems lazy. Just to pay 80 points and boom, unlock basilisks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if it's an option. Like, the problem is kind of devalues my Alchemical Hydra drop table. Because now I'm going to have to spend more. I won't, like, no, that's a joke. Like, I won't unlock this if it comes out just because then that's another task that I can get instead of Hydras.
Sure.
I'll never forget spending 4,000 points on release day, Jagex. Thanks.
PTSD.
Nice RNG, but...
Yeah, it's a weird one. Poll question 4. Should you have the option to pay 100 Slayer points to extend your Basilisk task? This will increase the task to 200 to 250.
I guarantee you know how they come up with these, like, punchlines for the task extension?
Yeah.
I guarantee you this is going to be some dumb stoner joke. Because basilisks, like, you need a mare shield, don't you? Because they turn you into stone.
Right.
This is going to be some kind of stoner joke. I can see it right now.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Finally, for the biggin, the Nate is not face guard. The Nate is not face guard is the helm of the Nate is not combined with the jaw of the Basilisk Knight. The tradable jaw will be a unique drop from the Basilisk Knights after the completion of the Fremennik Exiles quest. The Nate is not face guard will be untradeable, and it will require 70 defense and completion of the Fremennik Exiles to wear. The helm can be freely reverted at any time, and if it is lost in PvP, it will revert to the normal helm of Nate is not and the jaw. It will have the following stats: 0 attack bonuses for stab, slash, crush, magic, and range. The defense will be 36 to stab, 34 to slash, 38 to crush, 3 to magic, 34 to range, and the other bonuses are 6 melee strength and 3 prayer. So I'm going to pull up the normal Nate is not.
I will actually pull up the other thing that I was thinking of. Go for it.
Okay, so comparing it to the Nate is not, it's like a handful. It's like between like 3 and 6 defense bonuses to each stat. But the big one is it's an extra 3 melee strength compared to the Nate is not helmet. And the Nate is not helmet requires 55 defense to wear. And you are pulling something up to compare as well?
Yeah. Do you want to discuss this now? Because this was the big thing that jumped out at me for this update.
Yeah, let's do it.
This would be, technically, the new best in slot melee helm.
Right,
because
okay.
it has one strength bonus higher than the Serpentine helm.
Oh, it's even higher.
Yeah. Which is, in my opinion, not a good thing. Because one strength bonus doesn't do much. It's not the end of the world because you don't get a max hit. But the problem becomes you can add this to Bando's Tacits, which normally you don't need in a lot of situations because they don't give you a max hit. Mm-hmm. This paired with Tacit's Might in a lot of scenarios give you an extra max hit. But also, it has +3 prayer bonus, which the Serp Helm doesn't have. Yeah. It has no negative bonuses to magic and range, which the Serp Helm does. And the most important thing is it does not act as a kind of gold sink because it does not need charging from Zulrah's
That's right.
scales. So all of a sudden, we have a new best in slot that does not cost money to use, which means things automatically become better money because you're not spending as much on supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Which also devalues Zulrah scales, which means Zulrah is less worthwhile doing, which I guess is bad for gold farmers, which is a good thing for the game, but it's bad for people who are doing Zulrah for money. And considering today on the Q&A they were talking about adding a quest requirement to Zulrah or locking it behind something to stop like botting and gold farming, which I'm all for. This becomes a problem if this face guard comes out because I think... Okay, as somebody who has both mutagens, I don't want the Serpentine Helm to not become the best in slot anymore.
Yeah, okay.
But all jokes aside, my personal bias aside, literally, if this had some kind of money sink to it, I would be remotely okay with this, where I wouldn't mind it as much. But
I think the issue too is, so does the Serpentine have better defense bonuses?
It does, yeah.
Is it noticeable?
+20s in each one.
So 20 is on top.
So roughly 20s. It's like, I think +18. So, or is it 16? So the Serpentine Helm is +52 stab, 55 slash, 58 crush, and 50 range defense.
It's better defensively.
So it's between, yeah. But defense doesn't really matter in the long run. Like
that's the thing. It's like it has the perk that's it's very situational. That what is it? It will poison or venom your target if you have it while using a blowpipe or something.
Yeah.
And it also prevents you from getting poisoned, so that's nice. But I feel like with this new Nate Does Not helmet, giving it +5 strength, like having it match the Serpentine helmet, it does give it alternatives.
Yeah.
Like you would still,
the problem there is
you would still use the helmet.
It would still be best in slot for something like doing Chambers of Zarek.
Yeah, most things, right? Because it's got the +3 prayer.
Yeah, generally you don't need to venom things. The only time you generally need to have a Serpentine Helm, which is why like I think there's not as big a pushback, is for Theater of Blood you do need to venom some creatures. And if you're doing it in max gear, the only venom source you have is either your blowpipe, which doesn't always venom, or your Serp Helm.
Mm-hmm.
But this is bad because it doesn't actually act as a sink of some sort. Why don't you make it so that you charge it with Helms of Nate Does Not or some dumb stuff?
Yeah, why not bring it to Bob and get him to have to repair it?
Yeah, make it degradable. I know people don't like... Here's the thing, is Jagex do this thing where they say, we know you don't like this game mechanic, so we're not going to do it. We're going to do this instead. But the problem is what they implement is the exact same thing. They just try and fool people. And it never works. Like they said, we know you don't like degradable armor, so we won't add degradable armor into the game. But then you have or even degradable weapons, for example. But then you have armor that
rechargeable
needs charging
yeah.
and needs weapons that need charging. So it's the same thing. It's just you're still spending money every 10 hours of use. The only difference is you're spending it right at the start instead of right at the end.
Yeah. So we'll pull question 6. As described, should this helmet be added to the game? What do you I like the helmet and it looks cool. It really does look good. I like the helmet. It just seems...
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to reach out to Mod Ash. I'm going to try to tweet at him. I'm going to try to go to the OSRS Discord. I'm going to have to brave the journey there, try to make it back in one piece, because that place scars me.
Yeah.
But I'll try to get somebody's attention there. It probably will never happen, but I'll try to get someone's attention and ask them if they can have some kind of gold sync for this, because that's the big thing for me, is not so much losing my valued mutagens, but it's not really that good for the game.
I like having alternatives. If they're not going to outright bring out new tiers of armor, I like, I don't know. The Serpentine will have its uses, but not as much, right? So...
Yeah, of course. But this is a whole thing where it's like, we can't really sit here and talk about it affecting every single piece of content, because it's going to be so specific.
Yeah,
but like there's things
right.
like this is going to make it easier to get into the Inferno, because if you can't afford like a Justiciar helm, you're not going to need one, because this has great prayer bonus and good defensive stats, stuff like that, where it's like, it's not really going to be best in slot, but like you said, it's going to be situational and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it could definitely have its uses. Why don't you make it something so that, okay, here's an idea. Why don't you make this new face guard, lower its strength bonus to 3 again, just like the regular Nadazna helm, but give it a damage bonus against anything that the Fremenniks hate, like Dagonoths and Basilisks and Trolls, or whatever they want to do for this lore, and make it so that it's better than a Slayer helm, for example, plus 20%. And that sounds like crazy buff, but it's going to be super situational, and it's going to be really good for Dagonoth Kings. But at that point, it's like more in tune with the lore. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get you. It's whereas much as I like those situational, 15% bonus to this monster, that monster, I think that see, that's a hard precedent to send it's a hard standard to bring into the game, because the next thing you know, it's like every monster will have its own. I don't know. It's a tough.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know how I have mixed feelings. I don't know how to feel.
That's fine. How much will this job be worth? 10 mil? Question mark. Are these Basilisk Knights going to have a new Slayer level locking them? I know that they've said that they can be dropped and they can be killed off task.
Mm-hmm.
But
true.
Like if you're killing them off task, you won't have as high a chance to get the face guard job. But will it be 10 mil, 5 mil, 2 mil? What's the ballpark we're talking here? Because if it's a 2 mil helm for the new best in slot melee helm in the game that doesn't need charging, that's already cheaper than the Serp helm up front.
Yeah. It's like everyone's going to want it, right? Everyone's going to want it to upgrade their Nate Does Not helmet. And then when it gets low enough, PKers will want it. So I think I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like this is good for PKing as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to say, because at the same time, I do like the helmet. I do like when new best in slots come out, because it shows progression in the game. As I am waiting for that tier 80 to come out. We got the gloves, which is cool, but yeah, waiting for more of that push to happen, I think. Yeah, I don't know. But they're bringing out the poll blog next week, so you guys can keep an eye on that. And you can always submit feedback to them on any of the platforms. But before we move on to community chatter, should we go over the rewards poll blog for Last Man Standing?
Oh, the results for the poll blog. I get what you mean now, because we went over the rewards last week, but I didn't check to see if they passed or not.
Yeah, so I saw the results here. We'll quickly go through them. So the Dead Man mode cosmetic armor, it passed. And so did the Trover Parchment, which is what allows you to bring items farther than 30 wilderness or 20 wilderness. The Armadale Halo, Bandos, Saren, Ancient, and Brassica Halo all passed. The 3-speed one-handed weapon passed. The Gothixian icon to make the Staff of the Dead turn into the Staff of Balance, that passed. But what did not pass was the experience rewards never passed. That's surprising, actually. It didn't pass with 74.5%.
Okay.
So it was 5.5% off from passing. I'm surprised that didn't pass, but it was close. The gambling option, similar to Barbarian Assault, that did not pass with 73.9%. The Rune Berserker Shield, it did not pass with 70.4%. And following question, should a token be used to recharge it, did not pass with 66. And lastly, Cosmetic Capes, that did pass with 82.2%. So having the Cosmetic Cape, that shows how the milestones of completion, similar to Theater of Blood and Chambers of Xeric challenge mode.
Hell yeah. Okay. I don't know why the Berserker Shield didn't pass. I guess maybe the PvP community saw their... I guess +4 strength bonus is pretty ridiculous now that I think about it. I can't believe we missed that, actually.
Yeah, that could be it. And all the rewards and the gambling option is what surprised me to see that didn't pass, but
I think this is another example of how the community saw through the murky BS and they realized that these are just filler items.
Yeah.
Like we talked about last week, which I hope they do again for the Slayer dungeon.
Right. Yeah, because I read it and I see they're going to bring everything else except for that. It's hard. That's the problem. You never know if it's okay, well, that's it, or if they're going to come back with another idea.
I don't know. I don't want to sound super cynical. This is going to sound like the most cynical take you've heard probably, but what if Jagex intentionally throws these stupid questions out because they don't want people to get vote fatigue on voting yes? You know what I mean? People subconsciously, when they're doing a poll or a survey, they're going to be like, oh, I voted yes to so many things. I can't believe they start to try and look for things to vote no to, and it biases their judgment. So if you give them freebie questions to vote no to, like dumb rewards, it'll make people more likely to just keep voting yes for certain other things. I don't think that's the case at all, though, because if it would be, then these would be higher than the second last question in the blog.
Sure.
But it doesn't really make sense now that I pointed that out, but
you never know. They are
interesting to think about.
Tricky bastards. Yeah. Jagex, those guys.
Got to keep them on their toes.
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, you never know. Partnerships is going to come back up. You're going to get the new Natives Not helmet sponsored by Red Bull.
Yeah, sick. I mean,
it gives you wings, dude.
I was just going to say that. Sweet.
I was worried you wouldn't catch on to that.
Yeah, so there's all the things game related, and off to community chatter. RuneScape, Oldschool RuneScape has been submitted to AGDQ, which is a speedrunning convention or competition, I should say. So there are two categories that were proposed: free-to-play Champions Guild on an Ironman, and right now the average, I guess, is an hour and 20 minutes. That's what that's what you want to try to hit for. And Tutorial Island, sorry, and then category number 2 is completion of Tutorial Island, which is set at 5 minutes.
I could probably finish Tutorial Island in a good 1 hour, 20 minutes. I could probably get that.
Tutorial Island, 1 hour and 20 minutes?
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you're doing the wrong one. Oh, I misread it. Well, what can you do? So it got submitted, and the JMods have even agreed to having their own private server for people to run this. So
private serverscape?
Yeah, some Moparscape, but they're basically backing for this to be run on AGDQ. So that's pretty cool. It's got a huge community, the speedrunning. I'm not too big into the speedruns, but it's interesting to see that there are a large community into it.
Yeah.
Any feelings towards the speedrun for Old School RuneScape?
I think it's tough because Old School RuneScape is so RNG heavy that it's so tough to find other things to speedrun besides things like Tutorial Island. Because basically, how are you going to define first person to get to Zalra or some kind of, if they have these weird speedrun competitions? Because at that point you're just competing. Maybe you get great RNG and you get an early game upgrade, really quick. Maybe get an Impling that has a rune crossbow in Mauritania, and you choose not to give it to Settled or something and hate your life. But you know what I mean? So it's going to be tough when you come out with like speedrun competitions for a game where you're rolling numbers constantly. Because what if, let's say, like we start at the same time, but for some reason I get great hits on goblins early on. I get the levels to do waterfall quest super early or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I realize you don't need the levels for waterfall quest, but just as an example. Or first person to rush. What's something that's RNG based?
Oh, they do. I
guess
there was the first person to get a camo top.
Yeah, which, that's like a joke one, I think, where people just spam accounts for that. But like, let's say it's the first person to clear the fight caves, right?
Sure.
What if, like, I get like a rune crossbow, like I said, from a lucky Impling or something, even though I know hunter level, all that stuff. So this is the worst analogy ever. But let's just say I get to the fight caves and we got there at the same time and we both have the same build because we've perfectly worked out the meta, and it's like a rune crossbow early game. But we get to Jad and I hit 4 straight Ruby Bolt specs.
Yeah.
And instantly it's like my kill. And then it's, how are you going to compete with that?
Yeah, it's tricky, but at the same time, I do know that there are a bunch of it seems like every game under the sun has a speedrun community for. And they do have a bunch that are RNG based games. They're like Pokemon, right? That's it's pretty RNG based, seeing how you can get lucky and get a really good Pokemon. Or
yeah.
So they do have those. Like that's the thing. I don't care too much about speed running. What I think is really cool is watching somebody break down speed running. Like there's a few YouTube channels that I follow that kind of go in depth into a game and how it's done and stuff. Like that stuff's pretty cool. I'm not going to sit and watch somebody or like, where is it? Is it Apollo Legend?
Yeah, I'm not too big into the speedrun community, so I don't know. Like, I know there's a Pokemon one, but
yeah, I'm not too big into it. But yeah, I like when somebody can really break it down. Where's the video?
The Super Mario 64 one. I know that's a big one recently.
Yeah, that one. There's also what's his name? Let me see if we can find it real quick. Oh, I follow way too many channels. Summoning Salt. Yeah, okay. So Summoning Salt, he has ones where he breaks it down where it's the history of the Rainbow Road and the world records tied to that for Mario Kart. That infamous Rainbow level, that racetrack. And like he'll go through and break down how like the tactics into securing the world records for runs like that. And then there was another one where it was there's one level that is super. He calls it the most infamous level in the Super Mario Brothers, the very first one. Apparently, there's one level that's like will make or break the speed run. So that stuff I find interesting. But point being, cool. If this goes into it, I'd love to see the techniques and stuff like that. But it's something that I would probably have more fun watching somebody give me the summary of.
Exactly, yeah.
Even though like an hour and 20 minutes.
Mealtime videos.
Yeah, like it's something I would watch, but yeah, so anyways, that's cool. That's something I'm excited for. If it does go into it, I'd definitely watch it. Yeah, we'll have to see if it gets approved. And I think what is this the last thing here? Somebody messaged Mod West on Twitter saying, "Hey, remember when you promised us a redesign of an actual useful version of the Acreuus spellbook?" Mod West replied with, "It was never promised, but rather a speculative design to gauge interest. The plan is to tie it in with a future current quest that isn't of Novus tier like the others." So it looks like they're still planning on bringing that spellbook out.
Always good to see. Hell yeah.
Yeah, tie it to a quest. That's kind of exciting.
Imagine you'd need the new spellbook for like grades 3.
Oh god. Yeah, summoning zombies and shit.
Oh yeah. That would be so cool if you get in the raid and it's like you have 10 minutes to try and build your defenses against a horde before you get to the boss. So you have to like keep summoning skeletons and stuff.
That's kind of cool. That sounds sick.
One person's a necromancer role.
I'd be down. I would be down.
What if you have to get like these charms and then you have to get these pouches and certain ingredients and then you summon familiars?
Oh man, that's such a good idea. That could take the place of warding. We need a new skill like
Hell yeah.
Don't worry, lower your pitchforks. Don't worry. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Pretty much. I saw in our Discord Extras or Xarpus.
Right, Xarpus.
He got in touch with a bunch of content creators.
That's
and hopefully
right.
Our man on the scene for Runefest.
Yes, he plans on going to Runefest, and he's going to do some live on the scene broadcasting. He's gonna get some interviews going. So funny, when I was camping, I came back and checked and had like all these notifications, and I was like, "Whoa, he's been putting in some work." So that's awesome. Some possible interviewers or interviewees. Lynx Ocarina. Rarg. I hope I'm saying that right. Rendy said he would, but he's not going to Runefest, so it's something he would be up for answering questions from afar.
We should reach out to him for a ramble.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That would be that's something I want to do more of, and that would be a very interesting guest. Jimmy also said he'd be down. Yeah, and then we mentioned before he asked Mod Ash, and Mod Ash had said he'd be totally down for one. So that's really cool to see.
Get Mod Ash on a ramble.
Oh shit, that would be. Oh man, the nerves. Could you imagine?
We could tweet him. We can actually. We should go tweet him right now after this episode. Not brigade him though. Imagine like we get 40 people from the Wild Boys just all brigade his Twitter.
And he's blocked us. That's like worst case scenario.
If we tweet him from like the official podcast Twitter,
see how he's doing.
Hey Mod Ash, do you need picking up in the morning, pal? That's an updated reference.
Whoa. Reference? What reference from that is that from?
It's some random soccer player. Like when they first started using Twitter, they would tweet their teammates and be like, "Hey, you all picking up in the morning for training, pal?"
Oh. Nice. That's that's nice. Yeah. Okay. So that's everything that was going on, I think, for this week. Hopefully, didn't miss anything, but you can always get in contact with us if we did. And normally, this is the segment where we go back in time to talk about something that happened back in 2001 during this week. Unfortunately, nothing happened. And spoiler alert, there's going to be a few episodes where, nothing happens.
Well, it's the thought that counts, right?
Yeah, that's right. So nothing there. But I guess we can kick it over to lore. Before arriving to Runescape, the vampires lived in the realm of Vampirium. There were a number of different creatures that the vampires had to battle against. Not just that, they had to battle amongst themselves. Before coming to Runescape in the lands of Gielinor, the vampires had found themselves split into 8 separate factions, often warring against each other for control of the realm. As time went on, many alliances were made and broken, but eventually, a pact would be made between the 8 factions, and they would combine themselves to create one large kingdom. And with that, the vampires found peace amongst each other. But they still had the issues of fighting against the creatures that lived in Vampirium. One of the biggest problems were the Urasa. The Urasa were a bat-like creature that roamed the plains of Vampirium. When the vampires were fractured into different tribes, the Urasa caused them much problems. But once they were united, they began taking out the species. It would soon turn into a game. The vampires had no issues hunting these Urasa once they had united. At first, what started as a hunt turned into a game, an activity vampires did for nothing more than a pastime. They began slaughtering the Urasa, and as their numbers dwindled, the creature was doomed for extinction. Some of the alpha Urasas were able to escape this hunt and found solitude in hidden places of Vampirium. There was one particular Urasa that caused the vampires grief even after they had united. It was the apex predator, the alpha of the alphas. The vampires then went on to name this creature as Xarpus. At nighttime, Xarpus would strike the towns and villages of Vampirium, taking out some of the citizens of the area. Legends of this creature began to spread, and the hunt for its head began. This creature was able to avoid being captured and killed, until the stranger from afar came to Vampirium and offered to bring the vampires out from this realm into a better one. The stranger from afar led the vampires from Vampirium to take over Gielinor. And as we know, the vampires came in and wreaked havoc over the Saradomin kingdom of Mauritania. But a group of these vampires weren't satisfied. They wanted vengeance from Xarpus. And so the group went on to capture this creature. What seemed to be an impossible task, eventually the men were able to do it, losing casualties in the process. The leader of this group brought Xarpus into Gielinor, and upon the creation of Theater of Blood, decided to hold this creature in there. Xarpus, with all of its rage, now sits in the Theater of Blood, ready to attack anybody that comes into the room that it is trapped in. And the man in charge of Xarpus's capture lives his days now in Darkmire. From time to time, Lord Draken will go to the Theater of Blood to glance at his prized possession, Xarpus, the king of the Urasa. Next week, we close out the lore for Theater of Blood when we talk about Lady Verzik, the ruler of Verse and Haza. All right, now that we're back, we'll take a quick little stroll to the Grand Exchange, the podcast version of it. We're going to tell you about some of the ways we've been selling out in the past. First thing is Audible. You can get a free month and a free audiobook at audibletrial.com/wild. Get a free month and a free audiobook. I just said that. But if you're looking for a book to read, I am almost finished. I finally almost finished The Black Prism. It's the first book of a series, and I'll tell you, it's fucking good. It's got twists and everything, and it's got a bunch of oh shit moments.
Hell yeah.
Really digging that one. So you can check that out. I got a book lined up afterwards. Girlfriend got me the Kindle, and I found out Kindle has some free books. So I got The Swan Song, which is supposed to be some post-apocalyptic story. That's as much as I know, and that it's supposed to be pretty dark. So hopefully that's good. That's audibletrial.com/wild. Free month, free audio book. You can also support the show at patreon.com/thewildernesspodcast. And our supporter of the week is just going down.
Magpies again.
Oh man. Hey, what are the odds? What?
The same week we decided to roll out prize money. Awesome.
Shit. What who would have thunk? No, we got Anthony Martinez as the supporter of the week. So thank you very much for supporting the show. We got a lot of fun stuff planned. I've been trying to put... So I use the money, cover the cost for the show, because I explained the whole write-up. There's the cost of like uploading and having space. But I've been trying to put some aside for like, for instance, like Zyra's going out to RuneFest. Maybe we could hook them up with some equipment. Or like with Magpie, right? If you're able to continue doing this, you know, becoming like the more permanent co-host, right? Because I know you had a bunch of things up in the air right now, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't even know where I'm going to be 48 hours from now.
Exactly. So we've been putting money aside. You know, who knows? We can pay for his rent eventually. If only. But maybe we get some headphones or something. We get some gear going in the future. But yeah, that's kind of the stuff that's going on with the Patreon. And then as we talk about the Rambles episodes, I've got the one with, believe it or not, Magpie, first guest in that one, which was actually a lot of fun. And I want to do some more. Been really busy prepping for school and stuff, but it is something I do want to do more often on a more regular basis. Yeah, that is that. So we got a few things going on in the show, but we got some emails to go through.
Nice.
All right, so we got our first email. It comes back from like a month ago. I'm really sorry it took so long for us to get back to this email. Really apologize. With some long episodes, and then like with Magpie coming on board, it's been pretty hectic over here. So anyways, we're coming back to it now. So this is from Dash. Thank you very much for this email. And again, apologize it took so long for us to get to it. So he says, hey guys, love the podcast. I recently told my good friend Max, who is a veteran player, maxed account and hiding his username for security reasons. Of course, told him about the podcast and he loves it so far. Keep up the good work. And if you're ever looking for a guest on the podcast, I'm sure he'd be willing since he's quite knowledgeable about PVM. I would like to tell you all about my interactions at the Grand Exchange. But first, let me tell you the tale of the bank changing raid. Ooh, boy. All right, here we go. So to set the scene, I am level 100 combat with crap gear and hiding in the knapsacks of 2 max players. I was fortunate enough to learn raids. Hiding in the knapsacks of 2 max players, I was fortunate enough to learn the raids from. During my 4th raid ever, Max died during Tecton, and the other max player, we'll call him Lucky, ended up getting the Onyx. It's a nice 3 mil in the bank there. Obviously, we were pretty hype and thought it would be the highlight of the raid. However, after I inevitably died during Ohm, our chances at a drop were becoming slim. We pushed through and luckily completed the raid, but lacked on the points. Because of the lack of points, we didn't filter our chat to trade so that we could see if we had the purple chest or not. So, cutting out from the story right there, what a lot of people like to do is when they're pretty confident on getting a unique, they'll close their chat box because it'll pop up and it'll tell you who got the unique and what it is. People will hide the chat box so that it could be more of a surprise.
Yeah, so it's like a big build up. So if you see a purple, you don't automatically know what it is. Someone will say, "Oh, I got a purple," and then you just wait for him to open it.
Yeah, and it's the more twisted bow, or maybe it's the Den's bulwark, right?
Yay.
Yeah.
I just got 2 of those last week.
Oh, yeah,
Yay.
nice. That's my only one I've ever gotten in my name. All right, back to the story. So they don't have many points, so they don't filter their the chat to see about the unique drop. Therefore, we immediately erupted into profane frenzy as we realized that we received the twisted bow, thanks to Lucky. He also got the pet. It was insane RNG.
No way.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked to get the Onyx pet and twisted bow. I'll take any one of those.
In all my time, like doing raids, chilling with people who do raids, I've never heard of anything like that, where you get an Onyx and the pet and the bow.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. It's the trifecta. It's literally the 3 best things you could get. So that's whoever's a mathematician, work out the odds of that one. As you could guess, it was a bank changing drop for me, getting a split of 400 mil plus. I immediately bought max gear and looked like a straight pimp in the Grand Exchange. Now that you know my origin, here is what I experience at the Grand Exchange on most days. I'm not sure if anyone else experiences this, but if I spend more than 5 or so minutes at the Grand Exchange in my max gear, random players will walk up to me and say, "Here, have this," or something similar. Then they proceed to trade me anything from a rare item between 50 to 400 mil. Then they will decline and ask if I want it and proceed to tell me either to add them so they can tell me something, or
Can I guess what the next line will be?
Or they tell me to bank everything and follow them.
Okay.
Was that it?
Yeah, normally they say, "There's more where that came from." And then, yeah, keep going.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder.
No, it's all good.
Okay, obviously, it's an attempted scam, and I just call them out and they log out, but it happens so often and so quickly, I wonder how they do it sometimes. For one thing, I'm usually standing with multiple players occupying the same space as me, so I wonder how they target me without actually seeing my character. I wonder if it's the similar story Deegan told with that guy getting scouted at the Grand Exchange by a bot. Just curious with what you all thought of this and knew if what their scam entailed. I've been curious how it would work if I were to bank everything and follow them. Thanks again for the podcasts. They make the workday more enjoyable, and I look forward to getting on old school Runescape when I get home. Keep up the good work and hope to hear your all's thoughts on the podcast. Keep ripping those vapes. Dash. You know what? I went against the whole ripping those vapes, and now they're non-existent. So, yeah, there's that. So, Magpie, you got quite the bank. Does this happen? Does this happen often to you?
I wouldn't say I have quite the bank, but I make it a point to I never show up to the GE with any of like my expensive gear.
Oh yeah?
Never, because this always happens. Yeah. Like, I always, even if I'm just like going to split immediately after like a top run or something, I switch to my void instantly. It's something like the least conspicuous thing because you'll always have people adding you. I always keep my privates open. If anyone like in my old CC or if anyone from the Wild Boys wants to DM me or anything, like I always keep or someone from We Do Raids or something. So they normally have unfiltered access, but I always get those messages if I were to slip up and like accidentally equip something or like gear up at the GE. There are times where that's happened where like somebody's traded me 20 mil and then declined and said there's more where that came from if you follow me and stuff. And the way it works is sometimes they'll try to lure you for your T-bow right there. That's happened to a couple of my buddies. It happened really recently to one of them. And they're just praying like he'd been drinking, he was chilling. He thought they always get the people who think they can beat the system. And what they do is they tell you to like spam click the ground on a PvP world or something, or they open up a trade box in like Edgeville Bank and then they close it right when you open it or right when they press accept, so that when you go to click accept, you actually click out of the safe zone and they PK you for something. What they'll do is like, the oldest trick in the book is like, if you put up your T-ball, I'll give you one bill the moment you take it off. So you don't even need to trade me or bow or something. But then the moment they do that, they close the trade box and you like click outside. Like there are lots of ways to do it. One way of doing it is they'll befriend you. And this is the other one that people should watch out for, is they'll befriend you and they'll do it for months if they have to. Like, they don't mind, where they just like, hey, how's it going, dude? I had this dude this happened to me with one guy who like the moment I caught onto it, I just added him to my ignore, but he was like really friendly to me. I met him like doing a Theater of Blood free for all back when I like needed to learn how to do it and was just doing free for alls, and he was really nice and stuff. And the idea is they befriend you. They go, oh, like, what's good with you? They never ask for your personal info, nothing. Do you want to do some raids? If you get a drop, they split with you. It's like amazing. And then they say, hey, do you want to help me? My buddy is really good at counter, like anti-luring. And these bastards like have lured me for my entire bank before. I want you to help me. All I want you to do is don't bring any of your items. Just log in underneath me. You don't have to bring anything. I don't want you to trust me like that. Just don't bring anything you don't want to lose. Just log in underneath me and like pick up the stuff when I tell you to. And they do that maybe the first time it works. So they give you some kind of anti-lure thing and everyone's in on it. There's no anti-lure. You're picking up the money that their friend dropped. It's like an all facade. And then this is one way of doing it. I know there's lots of them. And then they do it a couple times. And like, let's say you get a 20 mil, like cash stack. And they're like, nice. Okay, here, like trade it to me. Here's your split. You get 10 mil. Perfect. That was great. Do you want me to keep hitting you up for them? Perfect. Nice. And then like, maybe they do it again. Hey, this guy's trying to like, we got this guy trying to lure us. We're going to anti-lure him. All you have to do is bank your stuff and it'll be fine. Hey, there's a 50 mil. Here's 25 mil. And then one day, like if they notice you at Raids Bank or something, or if they see you doing TOB or something where you have all your gear, I know this happened to one of my buddies as well. They just like tell you after a while, drop everything, teleport to me right now. There's a guy who's trying to lure us for 1 bill. We're going to get him. Drop everything, come instantly, drop everything. Sometimes they do it on Discord where they like befriend you and you're in a voice call with them and they just try to rush you and they say, holy shit, come here right now. Hop to my world right now. And you don't realize maybe it's a PvP world or something. And all of a sudden you've just hopped to them and you're in your max PVM gear and you're done for. Like that's one of the ways of doing it and stuff. So there are lots of variants. But yeah, never trust anyone. Always ask yourself like what they have to gain from something. If they give you something straight up, if they ever hold it against you, if they always say like, remember that time I gave you 20 mil when you needed it, man, like automatically that should be a bad sign. Even as in terms of even just being a friend, if you give someone something, you should never go back to it. You should always move on. Otherwise, then it's not really a gift. It's a alone.
Yeah, no, that's
But
yeah, exactly. It's not being nice if they do it with expecting something in return. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy. That's I totally believe that this is the thing that happens. We get kind of socially lured. I don't know, but Deegan had a friend we talked about. The guy got lured, the exact same thing you were talking about, lured for his Tebow, and he ended up quitting because of it.
I know. Yeah, I know that guy. He's a really good guy as well.
Crazy. Yeah, I don't quite have that. I'm not at that level yet, but like. It's unbelievable that it's that big of a thing, and I totally believe it is. That people will try to string you along for so long for the chance of getting a Tebow, but you can bet they probably have like 6 people going at once, right?
Yeah,
just yeah.
That's what they say. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
True. So yeah,
too real.
RuneScape's great, but man, I don't know if you do, but man, do I have trust issues.
Yeah, I hate this community.
If someone's like, yo, in real life, hey, I'll help you out. I'm like, he's helping me out so he can fucking steal something from me.
Everything but the wild boys I shower. Well, no, everything except the communities I like frequent, to be fair. Everything else.
That's the thing too, though. Like even the people in the clan chat and the Discord, I've never had a problem. That being said, I still have, like, it's what my grandma told me. And at the time, I was always like, whatever, grandma. But she always said, never lend something out unless you're okay with giving it away. Because I would lend out money to a friend, and then I'd get upset when he never paid me back. She's like, never lend out money unless you're okay with giving it to him for, like, never getting it back.
Yeah.
So, I have that I've had people like, hey, can I borrow, I don't know, can I borrow your Dragon Warhammer? As much as I trust, it could be anyone, no matter how much I trust them. It's like, it's not a personal thing. It's just like a rule I live by where I'm like, I'm not going to give anyone the Dragon Warhammer unless I'm totally okay with them keeping it forever. Yeah.
That's why, like, my rule is always, like, if you're lending something to a buddy, I have this rule as well. I always ask for what's called collateral, which means they always, like, have to give me something of relatively equal value. Like, I'm not going to be a stickler over, like, a couple numbers, but, like, let's say if I want to borrow your Dragon Warhammer, I would give you my Imbued Heart and a BGS and my Armor Helm or something, and they add up to like 40 mil when the Warhammer's like 45 or something.
Sure.
And the idea is, I always say, like, no matter who it is, people are like, come on, like, I've known you for months, I've known you for years, you don't trust me. And I say, it's not a matter of trust. It's just like, I always ask for collateral so that I can tell other people that I always ask for collateral no matter what.
Yeah. So that's it. And even in real life, there's so many times I've lent something to a friend and then we both kind of forget and then they lose it. Like, I've lent like comic books or movies and I just never get it back.
Yeah. Your phone, your mortgage or something. Yeah, it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, a few times that I've given out
your child.
What kind of friends do you have? Yeah, so it's a dangerous world out there. But it's crazy to hear how some of these scamming stories go. So yeah, do let us know if you encounter them. I've had them a few times. Not too much actually, because I think people feel bad for me when they see me walking around. Like, geez, this guy's almost maxed. He's got like he's walking around like, I don't know, Rune. All right, moving on. We got Rabbit BTW sending an email just saying some kind words about Magpie you now co-hosting. He just gave some compliments about that you're witty, knowledgeable about the game, and you bring a lot out of the show. So I figured we'd bring that up there.
I appreciate this new section where it's just constantly positive feedback. This is doing great for my self-esteem. And honestly, let's get to the meat of the issue.
There's also been a rally to have you taken down.
Oh yeah, I can imagine that.
Let's see here. Okay, here's another question, and Magpie, totally down your alley. So this was sent in from go with Josh. Josh sent this one in. He says, as someone who has never done a raid before, but is interested in getting into them, what goals do you recommend I set for my account? Stats and gear, etc.
This is a perfect way to explain this. People have different requirements, and people have different requirements for raids. Even the same people would have different requirements for different functions, if that makes sense. So let me explain without like waffling on. I'm part of We Do Raids. If you go on the We Do Raids Discord, they have a minimum requirement for like people who want to raid, and that is generally like a really safe bet to get into raids, where it's like base 80 combats. You need to have a fire cape, you need to have an abyssal tentacle, you need to have a blowpipe and a trident of the sea swamp, not the seas, and like a salve EI and a dragon pickaxe, unless you're an Iron Man, and just like a list of gear that you need. That's because like the people who go to We Do Raids, the idea is to teach you how to raid by yourself, to be able to be self-sufficient. If you want to raid with friends though, and you don't mind, like if you have higher level friends, it sucks to gate people out of doing content they really want to do. If you don't have a dragon pickaxe, for example, then yeah, you're not going to be carrying your weight for one of the rooms. But if everyone else in the raid is fine with it, it's a different environment than in one where you're just like raiding with strangers who are also learning. That's why there's that requirement in We Do Raids, because the idea is you're hopping in a raid with 7 other people who also want to learn. It's not fair to them if you're not carrying your own weight.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
But that being said, for me, if you're not doing a We Do Raid learner with me, ask for base 75s or 80s, preferably 80s. Definitely 80 range in magic. Some PVM experience would be helpful. So like a fire cape, it's super crucial to at least be able to do Jad. A lot of people say you need 78 herb lore and like at least 70 farming. That's if you want to do raids like in a general team and stuff. Those are super useful. But if you're starting out and you want to learn and you're not sure if like you even enjoy the content, then I'm totally happy taking someone who's not 78 herb lore, because you need that to make the potions in the raid. If you don't have that level, other people can make potions for you, but it's going to take longer because you're not going to be able to help. So I don't mind if people are learning, taking people who aren't 78 herb lore. Generally, there are different gear setups. If you have a torso and less dragon hide, that is perfect. You also need like a BGS. If you don't have a torso, it is one of the best investments you can make for your account. Yeah. And the best way I can recommend getting into raids is to just build your account up slowly, because you'll notice by the time your raid's ready, you're so far ahead of people who just like focus so hard on that one goal that they miss a lot of stuff that they end up needing. A torso is, put it this way, it'll take you maybe 4 hours to get a torso. A Bando's chestplate is 18 mil, and a torso is at least 75% as good as a BCP. Yeah. So imagine its value is around 14 mil at the moment.
And you'll always use it. Like even if you're max combat, you'll still find reasons to use the torso. PvP mostly, but still there.
Even then, if you ever want to buy a T-bow, you better have a torso, because you have to sell the BCP for one if you do like a T-bow rebuild or whatever. But the idea is get the torso. Its effective value is like 13 mil. If it takes you 4 hours, that means it's almost like earning 2 mil per hour. Is really helpful early on. But the idea is whoever wants to raid, always send me a DM. Tell me what's up. Tell me your levels, your stats. You can send me a screenshot of your levels. You don't have to send me any personal info, of course, but just your levels, your credit card info. Not that.
It's a number.
Yeah. Tell me like if you're trying to learn, how in depth you want to learn, if you have any PVM experience. I also like advise people while they're getting ready, try killing Zulrah. The idea is like as you start to get into PVM, the more PVM you can do. You don't need to kill Zulrah to do raids. I know people who are great at doing raids who don't ever kill Zulrah, who don't even know how to. But the idea is just give it a shot, see if you can handle like learning the mechanics, because at the end of the day, learning PVM in old school is the same thing no matter what. You go in, you're uncomfortable, you don't know what you're doing, but then you start to get the muscle memory, you start to see the patterns that are coming up, and then you start to be able to do it and improve, and you say, hey, now I can do this. I wonder if there's a faster way to do it, and that's how you become better. I'm not dying as much. I'm not using as many supplies. stuff like that. It's always going to be hard the first time. The idea is give it a shot. If Rabbit, by the way, if you want to send me a screenshot of your stuff, your levels, your gear, we can always work something out. If you don't have a torso, you can use full Elite Void. That works as well. And I'm always happy. I did a bunch of raids this week with a couple people in the CC, and it's always fun.
Yeah. The learner ones are usually my I have the most fun with. They're way more laid back. And see, I always said like 85 combat stats, but 80 seems to be pretty solid. Especially if you got a good group of like people. And Void. So I would always tell people get Void because I feel like it's less switches and frees up more inventory space for food. Why do you recommend Zerker before Void?
It's not so much Zerker; it's just a non-Void setup, and there are a couple of reasons.
Torso, sorry.
First of all, you deal more DPS in a torso and Blessed Dehyde than like melee Void.
Okay.
Secondly, Elite Void is better in terms of, yes, you can take in more brews, but the defensive stats are so low that you might as well be wearing toilet paper. So you're going to be taking more damage. And because you're not killing the bosses as fast, you're going to use more supplies, which means you're going to end up like balancing out the fact that you brought in more brews by needing more brews to begin with. Also, in raids, in regular Chambers of Xeric, there are very, very few moments where you have to switch your gear quickly. Like, there are certain moments, definitely when you finish killing Olm and you have to switch to your range gear for the head phase. But other than that, once you finish one boss, like most of the raids rooms, you're only using one combat style. So before you even enter the room, you can get set up, you can switch your gear, get everything ready, and then go into the room. The exceptions are there, Vasa. I guess if you're doing Vanguards and you want to like switch instead of following, which depends on you, but generally, like, that's why I don't recommend Elite Void. The other thing as well is I'm always of the mindset that it's better not to have crutches. So if you bring in Void because you're not comfortable switching your gear as fast, try a raid where you don't bring in Void and try forcing yourself to switch fast. Yes, it's going to suck for one raid. Yes, it's going to suck for the next 2 raids. You're going to end up with 3 raids where it sucks a little bit, but then the next 197 raids that you do, you're going to be able to be comfortable in switching faster. You're going to be better for it. And those 197 are going to be better raids. Whereas if you just bring in Elite Void for 200 raids, yeah, you're comfortable. You don't have 3 bad raids, but you don't have any great raids as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had this conversation with a buddy who was talking about like doing suicide runs when you do solos. He's like, he and I could joke about this all the time. He brings an alt in and then he kills the alt in Ulm and he drops a bunch of supplies.
Yep.
But I always say never do that. Suffer through the fight. Try not to use any supplies. And the idea is you want to get to the stage where you don't have to rely on like losing some points or wasting the time so that you become better.
Okay, interesting. Wise words to live by.
Yeah, always throw yourself into the fire. And like I always say, the hottest flames forge the strongest steel.
Nice. Damn, that's deep.
Yeah, dude. Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah, that's it. It's a Magpie 2019 quote. That one. Yeah, very cool stuff. So yeah, that's, and then also you can always, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, but I hope you can always bug Magpie for some advice, or you can bug myself.
Always.
And even the Discord, like we have, whoopsie. We have a PVM channel. You can always ask questions in there and you'll get some answers from a bunch of people. Cool stuff there.
And everyone I've raided with has been great. Like, it's always fun raiding with the Wild Boys. If I'm not in the Wild CC as much, if you see me online, always bug me. Sometimes I have to hop around between different CCs, but whenever I'm free, especially now, like my clan chat responsibilities are a little bit freer, so to speak. So I'm actively trying to join the Wild CC more frequently.
Yeah, and you see, he's pretty active on the Discord too.
Yeah, that's how I try to make it. I'm always free on Discord. You can always ping me, bug me no matter what. Like, I don't mind.
So there it is there. We got one last email. And this is from Luke Mack. And he says he wants to do, he has an idea for his own Bond giveaway. All right, so he first off starts with saying, I used to have 99 defense and 99 magic account with decent other stats up until 5 years ago when I quit. When I came back to play mobile, which was about 3 weeks ago, I found I was unable to recover it, so I started my new account. Luke Mack. I play Oldschool RuneScape on average about 3 to 4 hours a day, plus some random days that maybe that'll be maybe once every couple of weeks we get to play for an entire day. He is currently level 70 magic as of today, and he has a couple other goals he's also working on, like 75 defense and 70 strength, where he's currently at 55 defense and 55 strength. But magic is his main focus. And it will focus on those two when he feels he needs to switch things up for an hour or so to keep from getting burnt out. He plans by training through alching, teleporting, and passive training it while doing Slayer, if he's bored of the other methods. He already has Ancients unlocked, so once he gets the levels for Barrage, he'll train using that. So he says, whoever guesses the closest date to when he achieves 99 magic will win a free bond from Luke Mack. You can send your wild guesses to myself, Dills. That's me talking, and then I'll forward it to Luke. You can do it through the Discord. I'm not sure what his Discord handle is, but we're gonna throw something up in the events channel, so you can do some answers there, and I'll forward it the email. So some important things to remember is that he plays on average 4 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day. Sometimes he's able to play, like, let's say once a week, he can play a solid 8 hours, let's say. He's currently, not even 70, I went camping. So he's currently 75 mage.
Okay.
Magic, which was actually a week ago. So he's he's currently 80 magic. I'm going to put fives.
Okay.
He's currently 80 magic. So send your guesses. I'm not sure if it's one of those closest without going over scenarios. That's up for him to decide. But you can email some. You can email your guesses, as well as put it on the events channel. Also, leave your RuneScape username with it so that you can get the reward. Yeah, there's all the info there. Well, I'll put it in the events Discord once I have some time. So yeah, I hope I'm not missing anything. That seems to be about it. And one last important thing to mention. It's September. So the next episode 144 is going to be our, oh Jesus, this is the 3rd year anniversary. Magpie, you're going to be part of the 3rd year anniversary party. I don't know what that means, but we're just going to announce that. I do have something fun for the show planned. I think it's pretty cool, and we'll touch on that next episode. And I might brainstorm some ideas for a little bit of a giveaway as well.
Nice. I'm going to do an impromptu giveaway if you're down for that.
Oh, snap. Yeah. That's all you.
All right. I just thought of it randomly, but how about we put in the ones for Luke's, and then maybe next week I have an idea for another bond giveaway after I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, so
sure, if you want to announce it next week even, or you can do
yeah.
Okay, cool. That's how exciting. So much going on.
I'll plan for it a bit.
What's that?
I'll plan for it a bit. Perfect.
And I'll see if I can do some brainstorming for something fun as well. All right. How can you get in touch with us? Well, in-game Wild CC, that is the clan chat. I try to play every day. I try, at least. You can also follow us on Twitter at The Wilderness RS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/TheWildernessPodcast. Our email is thewilderness.podcast@gmail.com. And we have Discord that is pinned on Facebook and Twitter. You should be able to click it. It should bring you right in there. I love Discord. It's almost like a forum mixed with like voice chat and instant messenger all wrapped into one thing.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that.
And now a game library.
What's that? Oh, that's right.
Now it's a game library as well, yeah.
Yeah, it's trying to be a Steam thing. Hopefully it doesn't ruin what they've already got going. But Magpie, you have a clan chat as well. What is that? Where can they find? Is that just Magpie?
No, I just have a Discord. Again, hit me up if you want the link. It's just a place to chill.
Perfect.
In terms of things to plug, as always, I don't really have too much. I do have a Twitch. I don't stream much, but if people are interested, somebody was asking me if I could stream some stuff for them to learn.
Cool.
If enough people are interested, I could just like stream my daily mess arounds. I'll always ask friends if they're cool, but
awesome.
Yeah, like if people want to learn raids or something, I might host like a stream for that, however it goes. But I'm not. I don't think I would ever like try to go into the streaming thing. I know that's something you're into right now, so all the credit to you. I don't think I would be able to manage it. I don't think I'd make for a good personality.
Well, but you do some streaming, you say?
I literally use Twitch as a way to record my clips.
Okay. Well, do you want people to follow you on there?
I guess if you want. It's literally Magpie's OSRS. Again, I will not.
Magpie with an S?
Probably. Magpie's OSRS, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I'll follow there too. There we go. Fun. Oh, and you save all your videos on there. Okay.
Yeah. So I literally just use it because my hard drive is out. Like it's almost full with clips.
Yeah.
So that's a way for me to not have to use as much desktop space.
I feel you there. Okay, cool stuff. Yeah. And then myself, I have I've been trying to stream daily from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got school coming up, so that might be subject to change, but you can watch. I do a hardcore Iron Man and PvP World only stream, so you can check that out at The Dills, twitch.tv/TheDills. Besides that, I don't think there's much to go over. Our song of the week, Magpie. I don't know if you have a song you want to request yourself.
Let's do one that I have not unlocked yet because it's one of the only things getting me from a music cape.
Oh, cool. What is it?
Alternative Route that allegedly is unlocked after you do the What Lies Below quest. I have a quest point cape. I don't have it unlocked. Thanks, Jagex. Don't know what to do. I kind of think I have to just like revisit the area, but I just have never been bothered. Yeah,
interesting. Okay, alternative route. It is unlocked in the Tunnel of Chaos. I don't know what that means. It came out March 27th, 2007. And yeah, as you mentioned, it unlocks during the What Lies Below quest. Instruments. Koi as I don't know what the fuck. Church organs, string assemble, FX3. What the fuck does any of this mean? Timpani, taiko drums, synth bass 1, reverse cymbal, music.
I think it's just some dude typing in like the production programs.
Yeah, all the little MIDI tools. Oh boy. All right. Well, awesome guys. Thanks so much for listening. And thanks again, Magpie, for joining episode 143 for you. And we'll be back next week with our third year birthday? I guess it is. Shit. That's crazy.
Hell yeah.
I usually do a survey for that. We might have one. We'll see. All right, guys. Keep on scaping on.
Take it easy.